How do humans? Welcome back to the Rediscover Human podcast. You've got me and Josh today.
Hey guys.
We had two guests in a row, but we're back to the duo. It's been a while really, but I think the tribe's back together now. Lewis is around, and I think we felt like we should always get guests, but we don't need to get guests every time, do we?
Not always. It's been a busy couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've both been grafting quite hard, which I think we'll cover in this episode. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming back. We were at the gym yesterday, didn't it? We hit a gym session together.
Yeah.
Did some legs. You've not been in the strong fit so much at the moment, have you? You've got a different focus.
I changed it. So the strong fit was amazing, and I think we both took a lot away from it.
Learned a lot, and yeah, definitely took a lot.
Julian, the guy that kind of created that template, is just on another level of being a beast.
It's
right?
intense. It's very intense.
It's so intense. You start with like a lactic acid builder, which you're just knackered within the first 3 to 5 minutes of the training session.
Yeah.
And then you're getting into some pretty grueling stuff after that. And I would find around about the hour mark, mentally, I just switch off. And then you still had, 25, 30 minutes of the session still to go. So I've kind of adapted that, mixed it with a bit of my old training, and come up with sort of a strongman, CrossFit, powerlifting hybrid template, which I'm doing now, and I've upped the intensity a bit and reduced the volume, so less like carries a maximum 30 meters, whereas before we were doing 45, 50 meters for some of them. But increased the weight, and so far so good, loving it.
I can see how if you have your own gym setup and you've got the workout written down and you can have everything, like it, honestly, it's sometimes it's the it's like cleaning and putting plates away, all that stuff. It's the other people around there. It's like getting all the equipment out and like moving to the different areas of the gym. That all adds up. If everything was late and you could just roll on from one exercise to the next, I think it would feel like more doable. But it's very intense. And you turned a 4-week course into a 6-week course, right?
Yeah.
And that was still like super intense.
Super. Well, he was training. His program was 5 days a week, and I just couldn't. My body couldn't cope with that sort of volume. So I just trained it every other day. So it was supposed to be over in 6 weeks or 5 weeks, and I did it over about 8 weeks.
Okay. I did the squat. I did squats with you yesterday. Just put 100 on the bar and just did rounds of 5. But truly, I've been on my bike lately. I've been enjoying that. I was using my dad's bike for a while, but then I did a couple of rides and I thought, I could get into this. I just like being able to spend hours out in nature and traveling around. And what I realized on the bike is, compared to running or something, you can recover so much quicker. Like the next day you can wake up and not feel like you've done anything. Whereas running, it's like quite intense and you're out for a few days. And then, I can't hit the gym or I can't climb the way I would. But on the bike, it's like I can add bike to what I'm doing, and I can still go to the gym and I can still climb, and it all kind of feeds each other. And especially when you're riding, you hit a hill, you do a climb, and there's a bit of work while you're climbing. But then when you're coming downhill, it's free, right? And then when you're on the flat, when you have the difference between my dad's old bike that I borrowed, and I bought a bike on Facebook Marketplace that was like a kind of a gravel bike, it's called a Road Plus, so it's kind of like a road bike but can go on gravel. And there's the difference between that and my dad's bike is just from being like hard work to fun. So it's like I can hit a hill on that bike and I can put it in the right gear and stand up and just crank it up the hill. And there's this book that someone wrote, but there's an app version of it called the 100 Greatest Climbs in the UK. And number one climb on that list of 100 is actually the closest one to here, which is Cheddar Gorge in the Mendips.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, is the number one climb on it.
Up the valley.
Yeah, up through Cheddar.
So how you drive up?
How you ride up. You
cool.
cycle up it. So me and Lewis have gone and done that together. I went and did it again because it was so fun on my own. And Burrington Coombe's one of like the Southwest. They do subcategories of the book as well. But it's just cool to have this list. I'm getting into cycling. When I saw people cycling up a hill, I thought that looks nuts. Why are you doing that? And I'm just that personality that I just find I can enter any sport and I can see and I can try it for a little while, and I'll always start to like see. There's a reason that people do this. There's reason thousands or hundreds. Well, I guess cycling is millions of people, But in any sport you go to, there's a reason people are into it. There's a reason people fish. There's a reason people kayak and canoe. And there's so many even that kayaking and canoeing are so different. You've got white water kayaking, and then you've got canoeing, which is on the thin narrow boats, or they do the races, don't they, like Cambridge versus Oxford?
Yeah.
Is that canoeing? What do you call that?
That is rowing.
Rowing, sorry.
Yeah.
Rowing, yeah. You've got rowing, kayaking, canoe. And then on biking, you've got mountain bike. I've rented the odd mountain bike in my time and like hit some trails. And the downhill was all right, but quite an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And then the uphill was always so much work on the mountain bike and you're going against. And then there's road cycling, and then there's like bike touring as well. So there's, even within each sport, there's so many subcategories, and I feel like I can plug into something and just enjoy it. And cycling's just given me something, hitting the climbs, having a list and an app of 100 climbs to try and, I'm not saying I'm going to try and hit them all, but I'll work my way through it. And there's like 4 or 5 in Dartmoor, so me and Lewis, go to Dartmoor maybe and just hit a few climbs, tick them off.
Sick.
And it's just been really fun just to have a crack at a new kind of sport or thing. And I went to Brecon Beacons the other day, and I hiked up Penny Fan on the Saturday, and I took my bike in the car, and the Sunday just used an app called Komoot, and you can find hikes and cycle and bike rides on Komoot. And I've just searched for like an intermediate difficulty one starting in Brecon, and there was this like 25-mile one lap
to get that app.
Komoot. Yeah, it's a really good app. And I just did this lap with my friend's wife. We both booked for this race in Brecon Beacons, and because of COVID, the race got cancelled. But we both booked the YHA. So we thought, let's just go. And I was going to show her Penny Fan anyway. She wanted to tick that one off.
Yeah.
Have you done Penny Fan yet?
No, I've not done it.
We still need to do that one. Yeah. So tick that off, and then went to David Lloyd in the afternoon and hit that in Swansea. And then the next day, it took her through slow weights. And then the next day I went to and just did the bike ride on the canal path and round some roads around there. And it was a lovely ride. And just between having a bike and the right bit of technology, like you can go anywhere, and I can find some nice rides and just to see the Brecon Beacons, because I'm used to walking it, and you're on the mountain and you can see the hills. And when you drive it and you're hitting the country lanes, you're kind of too fast and you focus on the road, and there's a bend there, so you can't just like let your head wander.
Yeah.
But when you're cycling around this, it gives you it's like that in between pace where it's a lot faster than a walk where you see one mountain every like 2 hours as you're walking. You can cycle, and in like an hour you can be on like the next block of mountains, and it's such a nice different way to see the landscape as opposed to driving and walking. It's that in between pace where you're on the smooth roads and you can get some miles in. It's not overly taxing, and you can see the whole of the Brecon. I would like to lap the whole of Brecon Beacons, and you could probably do it in like 3-4 hours, and you'll have seen that.
You're making me want to go on my bike now. I need to sort it out.
Yeah, get it fixed, mate. But I did mention there slow weights, and that's something we could talk about, because I took you through a slow weight session
100%.
at David Lloyd.
The one thing I'd say on the bike thing so I've done a little bit of mountain biking and downhill mountain biking.
Yeah.
And I read a book a while back now called Stealing Fire by Jamie Wheal. Mm-hmm. It's all about flow states.
Yeah.
And what he says is flow state, like one of the triggers for that is basically when you're doing a dangerous activity, because it dials you in where you've got to be 100% focused.
Yeah.
And then there's something where they basically did a study of all athletes that say they access flow state all the time. And a commonality was that there was like
danger involved.
Danger involved, and then also like it being like downhill, like you're battling the elements. And that's the one thing with downhill mountain biking, you're like so in the moment because of the danger aspect, and also you're hurtling downhill at quite a fast speed. And I got so much enjoyment out of it just because I felt like I was in flow, fully concentrated, fully in that moment. Yeah. And you get such a buzz off it.
It's like grabbing onto the handlebars, just like
Yeah,
that's it. There's something in it, man. And I'm not like an adrenaline junkie, so I don't really like the feeling of high adrenaline and you're on the edge of like crashing. Like I'm definitely not someone that likes that, but I like the feeling of being in control.
Yeah.
In an environment or a scenario and I think that's what flow state is. It's where there is an element of danger, but you're so confident in what you're doing that you're in control of that thing. And I think that's where I like, although coming on the bike down some of the hills, like going up is kind of safe, but going down some of them and you're like kind of new to it and you're like hoping the brakes you can trust, getting used to trusting a new bike is quite a lot. But the slow weights, we'll go back to that, which I learned from Doug McGuff, Body by Science. He calls it ultimate exercise. We've just ended up calling it slow weights. Yeah. But on the assisted machines at the gym, David Lloyd, 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out. Yeah. Just one set to failure on chest press, row, shoulder press, lat pull down, and squat. How did you find it?
Yeah, I loved it. I wasn't sure what to expect, to be honest, going into it. I thought I thought it was gonna be easy going into it.
People think it's a recovery day, yeah.
I thought it was gonna be kind of it was in my deload week, so I was like, I'll pick this up. It'll be a little keep me ticking over.
Which it kind of, you can enter it at any level of fatigue and still not risk injury, and like, it's a safe thing to do.
It's safe. I think it doesn't tax your neuromuscular system, but in terms of taxing your muscles for hypertrophy is huge.
Yeah.
I felt the next day that was the worst DOMs I've had in a long time, and it was a stimulus that I'm not used to in terms of like lightweight over high rep, because normally we're doing like heavier weight for lower rep stuff.
Yeah, more explosive.
But even compared to some of the bodybuilding and bits and pieces I've done, I was just fried the next day.
Got a nice pump on.
Yeah, massive pump.
I think there's just something in when there's no momentum, when you're doing 10 seconds out and 10 seconds back, 10 seconds eccentric, 10 seconds concentric. Without the momentum, there's no muscles getting skipped over, and it's like you're starting from that position you're in at every like set. Even though you're not starting, you're moving through the muscle. But it's as though you're having to use every kind of fiber of the muscle from start to finish to get through the length of the movement.
Yeah.
As you press, you're not just explosive in the first half a second and then that just drives it to the end, right? And you just push out. It's like every segment of that push there's muscle being worked, and as muscles are like levers, the length of your bicep from your inside of your elbow to the inside of your shoulder, like at a different range of motion. So at fully locked out, when you start to engage it, works kind of a different part of the muscle to when it's fully in.
Yeah.
And it just works that whole chain down the muscle. And I just think, I'm glad you got to experience it and you got something out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to start including it in my programming. And like what you said then is I massively rely on sort of my fast twitch muscle fibers when I'm training. So I'll like explode out the hole when I'm squatting, when I'm benching, all that sort of stuff. And this just completely takes that away.
Yeah, but doesn't necessarily make you...
Doesn't make you slower.
You did some research into that, right?
Well, so I shared it on my story, and a couple of guys responded straight away, and both sent me the same article, funnily enough.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like, they both involve it in their training or do it in their off seasons or whatever. And because they're both power athletes, one's a sprinter, one's a bobslayer. They both had the concern that it was going to slow them down, which was what I thought as well when I was doing it.
Yeah.
But they would say basically if you're doing it alongside your power training or, for short periods, it doesn't have any effect. They've done studies on it. So, definitely. And then the other application for it, which was going into it, was I was kind of thinking it may work for this, was recovering from injuries, right? Because it's really low chance of you re-injuring yourself or hurting yourself
because that happens when you move dynamically and you move on your common path. That's when you risk injury, because you could pull a muscle because you're moving fast and it's just ripped it out the thing, whereas when you move slow you can't just rip a muscle out. And
also, like you said, because you're stimulating all the parts of the muscles, you're identifying weak points. And just someone needs to check out one of your videos of you doing it and how you shake when you get to certain parts of the muscle. And that is, like you said, it just feels like you're gluing those fibers together. It really feels like that.
It does. I saw you at the end of the session, you doing the tricep dips.
Yeah.
Because we finished with some additional work on the tricep machine. And I could see that at that point, you didn't need the 10-second timer. You were just, because that's just kind of the guideline to get you to feel what that feels like at that pace. But once you understand how to train, and this is the thing what I'm doing in the gym, it's like I'm feeling in my muscles as I'm moving through the positions. Now I watch anyone else at the gym and they're not in their muscles.
No,
they're in their music, or they want to be out of the gym. They're just doing it for ways to a means. They're counting the reps out to get they start to get fatigued and then they'll end their set. I've started to get tired now, so then I'm done. And it's like, no, when you start to get tired, that's when it begins. That's when you want to be in the muscle, feeling it, like focused, feeling it, and then fatigue it. And that's what you were doing at the end. I could see you were just like doing slow reps without a timer, but at the right pace that your body was like, you find the weak spot and you kind of go slower through the weak spot. You find the position it doesn't like, and that's where you kind of hold out, see if it wants to shake while it's there, and it kind of like, it's a magical practice. And I really want to, I think for me, I'm going to spend years like exploring it with each, rather than muscle groups. It's more joints for me. It's like, you know, the shoulder joint. Let me explore that, and I will take it away from just assisted machines and try some pulley machines and explore things like that as well.
Yeah, it would be good, because the only issue with the assisted, it's a positive and negative with the assisted machine, is you can't really change the angle of the press.
Yeah.
Which is
totally true. Yeah.
You want to play around. You kind of need
because the joints have
assisted machine that you can alter, you know, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100%. And one of the points I was going to make, so for people that want to try it out for themselves, do you want to talk through like how you set up the session? So
yeah, literally. I mean, you could. The way Doug does it is the main 5 you want to hit is a horizontal push and a pull, a vertical push and a pull, and then a leg press. And that's kind of like you're just, for any new person to the gym or an old person that he's trying to get out of a Zimmer frame or out of their wheelchair, this stuff is really good and medicine for that. But you could split it to upper body and lower body. And then additionally, on top of that, you want to do a neck extension and a neck flexion, which is hard. There's no machines for it, so you can work that out. We're doing bridges on your neck for rugby. You said you did that. I play with that as well. Neck bridges. I think it's fish pose in yoga kind of work, something like that. You want to do lower back extension and kind of crunch, ab crunch, which we did as well, didn't we? The lower back extension I like on the lat pull down machine, but you activate your lower back. And then calf raise to hit that as well. And we did a bit of calves as well, didn't we? But you can split that lower body and upper body, or Doug has his own version of split. You can split it over 3. But I'd say literally just start with those 5 and start with, find a weight that you can probably do about 5 or 6 reps on at 10 seconds each direction. Yeah. So we were doing 50 kgs, I think, 50, maybe put you on 60 on the bench press, on the chest press.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
At the gym, at the gym, assisted machine, chest press, find a weight for you. I put 50, Josh was 60, and 10 seconds out, 10 seconds in. And we're both done about 90 to 100 seconds in. Yeah. To fail, you have to go to failure. The more you can go to failure, towards the end, the last 2 sets, you might be breathing heavy, you might be breathing fast. Let that happen. Yeah, you can breathe through the mouth. That's all good. Like, we're not trying to do the nose breathing in this part of it. It's just like it's kind of your body's getting into that survival mode. It's scared that it's running out of steam, but it's still going to work through it. And it's when you get to that moment, try and stay focused. Try and keep your eyes straight. You can put a playing card or a piece of blue tack to stare at. That's another thing. Like, people's head starts to wander as soon as it gets hard. The head's one. No, I want to finish the set, and that's when most people in the gym then stop. And the theory of it is as simple as this: is as we know, to build muscle, you need to break the muscle down. Mm-hmm. So with that, when you're doing it slowly, you're breaking more fibers down. You're drawing on more fibers, and you're breaking more fibers down, and then then you have to recover. You take 2-3 days off from that kind of exercise, let the muscles recover, and then they recover stronger. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. Now speed and power are different things that you can train alongside it or at a different time. Yeah. But for me, and I think for 90% of humans who just want to feel strong and healthy in their body and don't want to be injured, I think it's incredible, and I really want to help get it to more people because it's so safe and it can help so many people that just don't know how to use the machines the most effective way possible and with limited time. Yeah,
and that's the thing, because you're only doing 1 set per exercise, and the exercise,
and you're doing, aren't you?
And that's it. You're ready to move on to the next exercise. Yeah. And then because each set is lasting between 90 and 180 seconds, so a minute and a half to 3 minutes is max. And they say once you can hit that 3 minute point, then it's time to go up the weight, and you'll drop down to more like 90 seconds again. Yeah, and you build back up. Yeah, it's you're in and that you can be in and out of the gym within half an hour.
Easily within half an hour, and you can go from one machine to the next. You don't need any recovery time between exercises, between machines.
And one of the things on it as well is I notice a lot of people do this all the time, is when, like you said, people are in the gym counting reps. So they're like, they've got that idea of progressive overload in their mind. They need to increase what they're doing every week. So they come in and maybe they did bench press last week and they did 4 sets of 8 on 80 kilos, for example. And they say, right, this week I'm going to do 4 sets of 8 on 85 kilos. Yeah. But the form completely changes. Yeah. To be able to do that, they're now bouncing the bar off their chest. Yeah. They're changing the whole thing. And that's not progressive overload, because you're not changing what you need to just change one stimulus.
It needs to be the same technique with a higher weight, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. So that is one of the sort of notes that I'd put alongside doing the slow weights is, if you pick, you're going 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out, and then you think, right, I can go up a weight. Make sure you're still doing it at the same pace rather than it's just start speeding up and you start doing a different thing.
Yeah. Nice. I think, people... It's just something that's easy to explain. It's easy for anyone to hear this if they've got access to a pure. I mean, maybe not pure gym, depending on how much you're offended by their 12 years a slave workout.
Is it even open still?
Yeah, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like that's just some of those gyms are £16 a month, and they've got all the assisted machines. I remember I was a member at Pure Gym in Burton once before a few years ago. They had a flipping torso rotation machine. I would love that, like to do the 10 seconds out on the rotate. That's some like functional patterns work method. Hitting those muscles that most gym goers aren't hitting because they're so bilateral.
Yeah,
like you're getting some rotation. I thought that's cool. They've got that machine, and even the Sweatbox. They've got the Nautilus glute machine. Yeah, that's really cool. Like I love really those. Good. For me, I'm really getting fascinated in. I'm just not a bit that into like. I appreciate a computer and a phone, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe because it's incomprehensible how you even start making that. But there's a technology of like a bicycle and assisted gym machine. I just love that. Yeah. And on those assisted machines, somehow they made it work so that if you push with one hand, it halves the weight than when you're pushing with two. So you can do one-handed reps without changing and it's just little things like that where the cable's connected and the pulleys are on, I can't explain it, I think, but do you know what I mean? Like that technology of someone that's like welded this thing together and to where it's at now from at some point, if me and you tried to make one in your dad's garage or something, or try and make a Smith machine or like a squat,
it's pretty impressive.
Press. And the leg press, how was the leg? Because everyone thinks squats, you need to do like reps. Like you felt like jelly coming off that, right?
Yeah, I was literally shaking walking to the next machine. Yeah,
2 minutes on a leg press machine. That's all you needed, and you can get
so
done.
brutal.
Yeah, really brutal.
And that's if that's the goal, if your goal is to increase your muscle mass, you need to hypertrophy the muscle, and you need to take it to failure. And another way of doing that is doing the slow weights,
the slow stuff. Yeah,
and it's like real minimal chance of injury, like we've talked about.
Yeah. Right, something I wanted to talk about. I hope people don't mind. I mean, they're listening to this podcast. So I'm sure you don't. I just released a new Way of the Rope course on Saturday, the 10th of October, from the top of Penny Fan, or 10 minutes from the top. I've made it live from my phone, but it is something I've been working hard for the last month or so on. And it was the previous two Way of the Ropes. The first Way of the Rope online course is the foundations course, which you get with any rope you get, which is literally 10 minutes explaining the three fundamental patterns of the rope: the underhand, overhand, and the dragon roll. And then the second course I released a few months later was the intermediate, which was going into more the sneaks, cheetah tail, some of the flows that I really think have great athletic carryover to sports, ace, home run, sneak matrix, all these were in intermediate 2. And so, or Way of the Rope 2. So Way of the Rope 3 was something that you're yet to explore it. So it'd be nice once you've had a go at some of it. But it's a workout course which you can follow along to. Because I understand for some people, just to have kind of a rep sheet where it's like, right, now you're going to do 20 reps of this, and you're going to do 10 reps of this on your left side and 10 reps on your right side. It's just really helpful for people to have that to help them get the reps in, especially if they're at home, no one else is doing the reps, or they go to the gym. So it's 11 different courses which were filmed really nicely at Lift in London.
It looks amazing. I know I haven't played around with it, but I've seen you editing it, and it looks class.
Cheers, man. So Peter and Harvey helped to film it. I've cracked on with the edit the last few weeks, and it comes with the guidebook for the rep count and everything, but you can follow along. And when I wrote the workouts, I wasn't sure how long each one was going to be. The aim was to make them about 10 or 15 minutes long. And they each ended up being about 4 to 5 minutes long each. And that ended up being kind of perfect, because you kind of want to get in. With the rope, it can get intense quite quickly. Yeah. And you can do your workout. And if you feel like you've got more going, you can go and hit another workout. So across the 11 workouts, I tried to each give kind of different focuses for each of the workouts. So there's 3 different running workouts in there, like a running warm up, a main running one, and then there's a running Tabata as well. You know what Tabatas are?
I've heard of them.
Like they're high intensity interval trainings, but Tabatas more specifically are where you do 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. 8 times. Yeah. So it's a 4-minute session. So there's 3 Tabatas in there. There's the running one, a boxing one, and just a really good rope one that I did. Then there's one of the classes in there is non-dominant training. So you're doing a lot of the nice flows like ace and top spin and some sneak stuff. But I've put in, it kind of works. So you do your dominant side and then you do your non-dominant side, but double the reps. So that you're putting more time into the non-dominant, but the dominant's helping to teach your non-dominant, which is kind of what we were talking with Max last. He was talking about that book Whole Brain Power, which I ended up getting that book, and I've gone deep into that. I've got it there, and I've been going deeper, looking at the non-dominant side.
I noticed you had the hammer actually.
I got the mallet and the golf balls and the penmanship stuff, which that stuff's mind blowing. But then when you train your non-dominant side, your dominant side improves.
Really,
it's such a phenomenal thing to experience. And I've been doing it with the handwriting. I've been practicing mirror handwriting with my left. And my right, I'm actually, for the first time in my life, feel like I've got neat handwriting with my right hand. Anyway, the penmanship is kind of like the precision of the hand, but the rope teaches you that kind of the global big pattern movements of the body, of everything working in sequence. So there's a non-dominant workout, and that there's balance training. There's a balance workout, which I find, I've done yoga for years, and you do tree pose or dancer pose, and you do these one-legged poses, and it's all very well to practice balancing on a flat ground when it's stationary. Now with the rope puts you on this figure of 8 path, and to balance on one leg while you're doing a figure 8 path with the hands, with the upper body, which ripples through to the ankle joint, that is how you know balance. If you can remain balanced, even though the rope and your movements are kind of throwing you off balance, but you're able to correct and steer and stay on course and the foot stays glued to the floor, you're kind of reconfiguring your joints around the position that your upper body wants to be in. So if you are in sport and you're off balance, or you have to change direction, or you're swinging, like a tennis shot, and you're coming into underhand, or you're in a fight, like you're wrestling, or you're swinging some hooks and turning the corner, and you want to stay, your foot wants to stay kind of balanced, or you want to know where you are in space. I think the balance stuff with the rope, the one-legged rope drills, where you're on one leg and you're doing dragon rolls, you're doing underhands, and as you're underhanding to stay balanced, it teaches all the body to work, all the joints to work like cogs of a clock, of a timepiece, so that as the upper body moves, the lower body moves to correct and stay stable. Yeah. So putting the figure 8 path through a balanced position is just, this stuff's so exciting because it's so untapped and so new, in the sense that like David Wett kind of passed me the puck for the rope stuff, and he's just given me his blessing to like run with it. Yeah. And I just feel like I'm much more valuable to society when you give me something that's untapped, like to just run with, and that this is just the thing. And with the rope, to be at the leading edge of this tool, and for everyone to overlook it, or for people to overlook it as just something so simple and snub it off like skipping rope, and then to be of the group experiencing it and going, this is far beyond the skipping rope, and for you to experience it, and for you to give it to people like Harry and Max to understand it, and these intelligent athletes to be getting it. And now you see the WEC Method guys are out in Nebraska training. All I See Is Gold. What's his? Jordan Burroughs, the Olympic gold wrestler. Not only did he go to WEC Method and train with them. Okay, it's one thing. You're trying out some fringe stuff. Oh no, you've brought them out to your camp now. Like you felt something in that session that you're bringing them out to Nebraska.
And he's so high level. He's really at the
highest level. Yeah, and he's with the WEC Method guys, and it's like, okay, he's doing the ropes and the matadors and things. So it's like, so having this freedom to explore is when I'm my most kind of powerful in that. Anyway, so creating this course with these 11 different workouts, and I really see a value in every one of the workouts that's in there.
So with the course, you talk through each individual move, right? So there's a video like demonstrating the individual moves.
So in the first 2,
that's all covered in the first 2.
This builds on the first 2 courses.
And then the third one is piecing those together.
Piecing
basically.
those together
Okay.
with a key focus. So the focus is balance. So we're going to do it this way. Or the focus is foot. My favorite workouts from the course are the 2 footwork workouts.
Okay.
And the first, and it's a variety of difficulties within the workout. So the first footwork one, you don't need anything more than a drag and roll on both sides.
Yeah.
But you just need a drag and roll to be able to complete that workout.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the second one is footwork 2, which is slightly goes up a bit, and it's using the sneak.
Yeah.
And reverse underhand and overhand sneaks basically. But everything for 3 you can use is built from the previous 2. But you've got all the flows and moves for that.
It's quite cool because it gamifies it in a way as well, where people like want to be able to complete the workouts.
Yeah, it's to follow along and see. And I remember when I did CrossFit, and I wasn't that good at double unders because I was new to it. And if you told me, Tim, go to the gym and try double unders, like I'd get bored super quick, right? But you put double unders in a workout,
Yeah.
I got way better at double unders really fast because it was part of the workout.
Yeah.
So I needed that that
Need to access that skill to be able to complete the rest of the
I needed
task.
that stimulus. The stimulus of like a competition or like a race or something helped me to get better at double unders. Whereas if it was just like go work on it, it didn't have the motivation. So when I wrote this course, it's like, okay, now you've got the stimulus to do 10 reps, whether they're shitty reps or not, it doesn't matter. Do 10 reps of this and try it, and then next time you come and do that workout again, those 10 reps are going to be better. You're going to feel it. But it just gives someone, it lays it out and kind of does the work for someone so they can just switch off, turn it on and follow along, and you can make it your own as well. You could do double the reps if you want. You could do the workout twice. If you can't sneak, you can just do drag and rolls instead of every sneak in the course. Do you know what I mean? There's no way that you can't tailor it for anyone that's got the 3 basic patterns of roping.
One of the cool things about it as well, the rope, is that like everyone's got their own style with it. It's kind of like skateboarding, right? You see people skateboard and people got different styles. Where you look at you and Peter, both amazing at using the rope, got different styles.
Different,
You can do the same workout or routine, and it looks different because you got your own styles, which is, I think, it's cool. You put your own stamp on it.
Yeah, everyone falls for different like patterns and flows that they prefer that feels good for them, and so literally that launched Saturday, and that's on wayoftherope.co.uk. You guys have the discount code Rediscover or caps lock 10% discount, and I've set up a bundle now as well, so you can buy rope 1, 2. You can get course 1, 2, and 3 in a bundle, so you don't have to buy them separately. For anyone that's kind of new to this, there's also a bundle where you can buy. I hate doing this talk; it feels like such a salesman. It's on the side, but you can buy 1 rope and get all 3 and get 3 courses with the 1 rope as well. So that's a bundle. So that makes life easy for some people.
Yeah,
but I wanted to get this. It's different from the previous 2. I wanted to get it out, and then also the other week I did a workshop, which you might have seen in London, which went really well. We did a beginner's one and an intermediate one. They're both sold out, and it was just so nice to see people that literally most people there in the beginner's class had just heard about it or seen it, but they hadn't really delved deep. And within the lesson, I give like a 30-minute presentation on PowerPoint, talking about the history of it, the power of the rope, what it does. And that went really well, and that really kind of inspired me. And it was like 5 or 6 hours of teaching in one day of something I've never. That's the first time I've ever taught it in like a paid customer environment. I've just taught friends or what, and for 5, 6 hours as well in the heart of London or in East London. Was an intense day, and I came out of it energized, which means that I'm doing the right. It wasn't like a chore for me,
It's nice when you have that one-on-one contact with people as well, isn't it? Like when you can see it helping them.
Especially now, having the physical, teaching people in person is how we can get this to more people and spread this. So I'm really focused on just doing more workshops. So we've already got, if anyone missed that and is interested, we're doing a London date again, November 29th. There's a beginners and intermediate and an intermediate plus. For intermediate, you just need to be able to drag and roll on both sides. Intermediate plus is for people who can sneak on both sides, both ways. And then beginners is for people that haven't touched a rope, preferably. So that's London, November 29th. And then I've also got a Bristol date and a Derby date or a Midlands date.
Is that still on? Aren't gyms closed up that way?
Not in the Midlands. I think Manchester.
Oh, okay.
It's
further north.
And Nottingham is a bit funny, but Derby, we should get away with it. Good point there. But for now, it's on November 15th. There's going to be beginners and an intermediate in Derby, and then November 22nd is Bristol, beginners and intermediate. We just still need 100% confirmation. But at the moment, you can. They're all on the website. If you go on the top tab, it says workshops, so you can go check out the workshops. But yeah, that's me done for now.
How many spaces for those?
So we did 20 on the first workshop, and it was kind of crowded. It was the first time we did it, so we didn't know. So I think we dropped it to 16, and then 12 for intermediate classes.
Okay, nice. So, so it is pretty personal anyway with the
and then you've got me, and then Pete's helping. Pete's going to help assist as well. But it's 16 and 12, something like that.
Amazing, man, exciting.
Yeah, it's good. I like the in-person stuff. Get it to the mass, and then we're in Bristol. We'll speak with the venue about trying to do a regular weekly thing or something.
Yeah, it could be good. Yeah, it could be really good.
Yeah, man. So how's yours? So we've just had some of your mushrooms. How's the mushrooms going? You're saying people really taken to the... We talked about mushrooms from the beginning on this podcast, and you actually launched a mushroom product, didn't it?
Yeah. It's been one of those things that was like in the background for a while. Like it's always stuff that I use personally that I want to sort of like share with people, and just you find there's a lot of like sub quality products out on the market, and there's some amazing products out, like Nisha produces amazing mushroom powders. So there are some other amazing ones out there as well, but just everything that I use personally, which I get benefit from, and I'm like, right, okay, I want to bring a good quality product to the market, because there's so much out there which is just rubbish. But yeah, it was interesting. I was saying to you beforehand about the cordyceps. It'd be interesting for people to hear on here. Yeah, it's just, so I was reading this morning about basically cells in the body and how they're positively charged, and how that a healthy cell operates about 70 millivolts. So you actually carry electrical charge within your body, and when you get a disease or you're putting poor quality nutrition into your body, that drops to about 30 millivolts. And that's how your metabolic processes slow down across the board. You become less efficient at bringing nutrients in, creating hormones, creating neurotransmitters, all those things. And you open yourself up to disease and quicker aging. Yeah. Well, one of the main supplements to increase mitochondrial health and increase your cell's ability is cordyceps. So I remember I read that this morning. I was just like, bang, 2 grams of cordyceps straight away. Yeah. But yeah, it's just crazy how like powerful these products are, for your body. Yeah, and you've been, like you said, like Michael Timms says he likes the cordyceps. Yeah. I've not done too much with cordyceps. I'm very on the lion's mane. Yeah. People are coming back saying cordyceps is like they're really feeling it. And yeah, well, it's like everyone just associates lion's mane with like brain health and memory and focus on all this stuff, and like people seem to love the idea of nootropics and just optimizing their brain. But the cordyceps, because it increases your cell's ability to produce ATP, basically, it just improves you across the board. So it's brain, body health, and it's got immunity properties and blood sugar regulation properties and loads of different stuff. So yeah, it's super cool. But yeah, one of the other things I was going to ask you about, and it was, for me personally, I noticed I kind of had to check myself on Sunday because my discipline in my personal practices have just fallen off. Yeah. Right. And I didn't really notice. I was kind of kidding myself in terms of like, I'm still, eating well, I'm still training, I'm still meditating, but I wasn't doing it with the sort of same sort of like drive as I was before. And the thing I noticed on the opposite end to that, as to what I was doing, was I was spending way more time on the computer, way more time on my phone, and aimless time on my phone where I'm just like on Instagram scrolling, thinking I'm doing work when I'm not doing work. Yeah. And that is, that's a head fuck about having your business running, through social media. But so I sat down on Sunday and asked myself some questions in terms of like, what my goals are, what type of person, what characteristics do I need to be demonstrating to achieve those goals, and what things am I doing unconsciously in my life which are stopping me from achieving those goals. And the prime example of that was me just aimlessly being on my phone, basically. Yeah. So I was just wondering if you like do anything like that in terms of like...
It's funny you say that, man, because I had 2 dreams last week, 2 nights in a row, which my phone broke. Okay. And I was like the screen cracked and broke, and I think one of them may have lost the phone as well. But 2 nights in a row, and after 2 days of which I've been like scrolling a lot as well. Yeah. And I just thought my soul is just trying to tell me something. Yeah. Like the soul speaks in the dream sometimes, and that was like, need to make a move on this phone stuff. Yeah. And I completely agree. I've not got any set practice. I mean, my screen's at red. I've just released a new product, so it's like I'm on it a bit more. But like you say, there's times when you're on it and you're like, this isn't actually the productivity that I'm telling myself it is. But is it like, do we just need to get the dumb phone, like move away from smartphones back to dumb phones?
Yeah.
There's the whole EMF side of things. I've been looking at Faraday cages for your beds and stuff, because I think in this block of flats we got smart meters and everything.
Oh yeah.
Definitely looking at solutions to kind of like get away from EMFs. I think EMFs and then staring at screens, the blue lights. Even on my Kindle, that's another one. It might have been the Kindle as well. I'm got a nice paperwhite Kindle. I'm reading it at night. There's lighting on it, and then I was laying in bed for like an hour or more, couldn't fall asleep. 2 nights in a row, and I was like, those are the 2 nights I was reading my Kindle. Like, even just the light of the Kindle before bed was enough to stimulate me that I couldn't sleep. And it's like, it's not like a backlit like a phone, because I genuinely have a pretty good practice of not staring at my phone within like an hour or two before bed. And if I do, it's on red and it's just like a few messages to plan the next day or something. But even the light of the Kindle before bed was a problem, and it's like, so now I have to put my lamp on or a candle and then read the paperwhite on with the no light coming through. But yeah.
Do you have blue light? You have blue light blockers.
I've got blue light blockers, but I wasn't wearing them on the Kindle. I just thought the Kindle's like this paper, like, and I've only started reading it again recently because I was using books and stuff. But sometimes books are just easier to get on the Kindle, and it's nice to have. And I was in the Brecon Beacons as well, with lovely place, no signal in the YHA. I was just on my paperwhite in bed. It's nice and handy because you can read with no light on. But then couldn't sleep, and I was like, was that because of that? Or was that something else? And then the next night, same thing. And I was like, okay, I need to sort this out.
It's mad, and it's just, you've got to constantly check yourself, because that's what, over the last 2 months, I've come to that conclusion a few times where I've been like, right, I know I'm not operating anywhere near 100% capacity. And why am I not doing it? Right, okay, well, I'm letting my personal practices slip and blah, blah, blah. And I set the best intention of, right, okay, I'm going to sort this out now. Yeah. And I end up doing it for a few days.
It works for a few days, yeah.
And then it just drops off.
Back, yeah.
So Sunday I wrote it all down on a piece of paper. I just stuck it in front of my desk.
Did you? That's good.
And then just to like briefly cover it, it's basically a meditation practice, one from Joe Dispenza, which I highly recommend to anyone. You can get it free on iTunes. It's like Joe Dispenza's morning meditation. He does a morning and evening one that comes as a package.
You've told me, I've listened to them ones before, yeah.
But what he gets you to do is you kind of like visualize your future and like feel the emotion that goes along with it, which I think is the really important thing. Is like you need to create that emotional shift in your body and your like energetic field. So it's that like breath work, starting to read again, prioritizing exercise and all these sort of things. But I've stuck to it. I started on Sunday as soon as I'd written my piece of paper, and I did yesterday and today. I feel different, way different already. Yeah. Feel like back to I was honestly feeling like I'm not myself. Yeah. And it was driving me crazy because I was like, why aren't I feeling normal? And within 2 days, I'm just feeling back to myself. So it's great. But it's cool, man. And that's the thing. It's just a discipline to be honest with yourself and then decide, right, okay, I'm going to do this. And then the hard thing is then sticking to what you've decided to do. So
yeah, the discipline of it, setting up the world where it becomes natural. Another practice that I am keeping consistent with TRE, which I've mentioned before, tension and trauma release exercises. And I got a message yesterday from a guy who thought it was nonsense but ended up giving it a shot anyway, which I love it when people are like that. They're like, yeah, what is this thing? Ended up getting crazy shakes and tremors and release, and felt completely relaxed after that, and then for the next day. And Pete's been keeping it up as well. And I just think that's one staple in my life that it just takes the edge off life and has kept me like just able to be productive. Like working on that workouts course that's the most kind of condensed hard work I've put into a short space of time in my adult life, I think. And I really attribute part of that to the TRE just releasing some inner tension physically and emotionally. Like,
what does it stand for again, TRE?
Tension and trauma release exercises.
Okay.
And it's basically where you set yourself so that you lay on the ground and you've got this like tremor pulsation action happening unconsciously. It happens through the body, so you're not consciously like making it tremor. You find there's a way to tap into it through David Baselli's exercises, and there's on YouTube. I'm on his YouTube. He led me through a practice. If you search TRE Tim Sheaf, it'll come up. I was doing it right here, but I've been doing that every 3 days. And it's just such a nice, that's a good evening practice before bed, just to set you off. And from that, I was actually sleeping, I got back to sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like my lower body recovers so much better when I sleep on the floor.
Really?
There's something in, when if you lay on your back and you're on a hard surface, your lower back is like, it tucks your pelvis under a bit more. And there's something that I just feel the blood flow to my lower extremities just much better. Maybe in my mind, but subtly it feels like it. When you're on a bed, if you've got kind of lordosis or your lower pelvic tilt, it can just sink into the mattress and your legs lift up and it is what it is. But on the hard floor, I just feel like it's that Savasana position. At the end, they say it's the most important position at the end of yoga for a reason, and they say it's the hardest as well. But sleeping on the floor, I just would wake up and I just feel like my legs felt better. And then I even when I went to Brecon Beacons, the hostel, I took my sheet that I lie on so I could put it on the floor and took my pillow. But then from struggling to get to sleep from the Kindle, I ended up moving to the bed, and it's much obviously easier, especially when that was probably day 4 or 5.
Yeah,
sleep on the floor, and it got me out of the habit, because if you're struggling to sleep and you're lying on a hard floor, it's not fun. If you can fall asleep and you're on a hard floor, you wake up and you feel good. Yeah, but it was getting to sleep that's the problem. So anyway, that's another practice I wanted to. I think sleep on the floor is it.
So when you release your muscles with TRE, you get an emotional release as well.
Yeah, it's all tied. Yeah,
okay,
definitely. Yeah,
and it's just like, do you feel like specific thoughts come along with certain stuff, or is it more like just?
It can do. It's very subtle like that. But one thing I didn't really notice with it, I was just able to nap. Like it just, we talk about the nervous system and the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Mm-hmm. It just really helps you get into the. I think is it parasympathetic when you're really relaxed.
Yeah, rest and digest.
Really and there's a feeling that like, when you wake up out of a nap and you're just so zen, and there's like a humming in your chest that's just there, and TRE helps me get to that place. And I think if we're doing so much yang work, we need that yin work, and TRE is just one of the best yin practices that I've discovered. That's just in the body, that's naturally innate in all of us, that children naturally shake, and then adults kind of suppress the shake when they're afraid or they're cold. We start to suppress it, and it's there within us to help the muscles release tension, and we're holding a lot of tension, and so I have to lead you through a session. You've not tried it yet.
100%. Well, I think that like for anyone listening, it's like so important to have those yin practices, like you said, and whether it's TRE, whether it's meditation, whether it's cold immersion, getting out in nature, there's a million different practices, and a lot of people, when you're in this sort of thing, you do play around with you tend to have a few different ones. But it's just so important to balance that yin with yang. Yeah.
But you can watch TV, you can watch sport while you're doing it, and your body's just doing its thing, and it's you just feel so zen after. Like it's a wonderful practice, and I think I want to help get that slow weights, the rope.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to find like help to rebuild people's bodies. Like that's what we're doing.
Yeah, people, and especially at the moment with everything that's going on.
Yeah, speaking of that, like how's it been? COVID, the mask situation. Have you been wearing a mask?
I haven't once worn a mask, and it's not out of any sort of not having care for other people. I have a lot of care for other people. It's because I believe
you're not wearing it for other people.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think the system and the message that's being put out by the government and everything at the moment is wrong, and I'm kind of wearing it in not wearing a mask in protest to that, and also like trying to make other people aware of that.
Yeah, totally. It's if people have lived an unhealthy life and they've got health issues, a mask is making no difference to any of them, and it's just you're playing in. To wear a mask is playing into this false narrative that exists. It's like I'm not just gonna concede to. They just don't understand health and life. Like the government just don't. It's just.
I think it's even more insidious than that, mate. I think they understand, and they're purposefully putting out
totally
information.
Think that's an option, but even on the surface level, they've not made any attempt to actually make people healthier. Not one attempt to make people healthier. And then all they've done is try to make people wear masks, which is the opposite direction what you want to go in. And to just wear a mask and go along with it is just to feed the narrative that is actually the route to take, and it's just not a route to take to a healthy society. And I just don't want to feed into that, the fear of that narrative.
Well, it's the problem. My issue with kind of modern medicine is that, you know, they see a problem and they try and put a plaster over it in terms of a tablet or whatever.
Treat the symptoms and not the actual.
Treat the symptoms.
And that's the mask is just another one of trying to treat it. Like,
wear the mask, wash your hands. Spray down all the gym equipment. It's the same thing. It's not addressing the problem of the root cause. And the problem of the root cause is there's poor, health practices going on, worldwide at the moment, especially in the Western world.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, unfortunately, is fueled by misinformation, which is put out by some of these bodies, which are supposedly health bodies that are supposed to look out for the population. You've got organizations like the World Health Organization. You've got Bill Gates pushing his vaccine agenda at the moment. And, it's either they don't have an understanding of health, or it's something much more insidious than that.
It's either ignorance or is insidious, yeah.
And
depopulation.
Yeah, and I think like what we're, the message we're trying to put out is trying to help people help themselves in terms of like improving their health and bolstering their immunity against getting any disease or getting any illness as they age or whatever, rather than just trying to put a plaster on things. And I'd like really hope people can see that we genuinely care about people's health, and we're trying to help people from like a more holistic standpoint.
The freedoms of the children of the future. I've only had more lately. It's been like ramped up again, hasn't it? Because like for a bit you didn't wear a mask, no one kind of said anything. It felt like things were getting back to normal, and because the media continuing to propagate that there's more cases, because deaths have gone down massively, so they just find whatever word they can. So now they're saying, but cases are going up. Well, you're testing more and you've got false positives, anyway, but you're saying cases are going up, so that you can just continue to. And it's like there's 30 deaths a day. I think it was Brian Rose was saying, it's less than 1% of each daily deaths in the UK is COVID, and like 10% is respiratory diseases related to like smoking or something like that. It's like 10 times more deaths are from smoking every day, and yet there's been no outrage, no call of a pandemic with that. And it's just completely to treat one thing with prejudice like we are over other things, and McDonald's is still open, is absolutely ludicrous when there's so many other crises that are more valuable to deal with, that would have a bigger impact on humans' health and survival than treating this with bloody masks.
And they're not being completely honest about the figures, because when you see these death figures, they're not showing you how many of these people have other underlying issues.
Oh yeah, I mean, we know that. So everyone has established that.
Yeah.
They're all. But so I've gone into a few restaurants, and you enter the Matrix restaurants, and they ask you to wear one. But I think I seen on Triss's story, or someone posted like the most best example. But when you go to a restaurant and they make you wear, or they ask you to wear a mask to take you to your seat, and it was the same. I went to bouldering yesterday at rock climbing, and I walked in and they asked me to wear a mask, and I said no. And there's people 4 meters away on a mat without a mask. That if you're climbing, you'd have to wear a mask, but to go from the reception to climbing, you have to wear a mask. And I said, having to wear a mask here while they're not wearing a mask, it's like having a pissing section in a swimming pool. Which is just, I thought it's the best analogy. It's like, go over here to piss. Don't worry, guys. It's not going to get no, it doesn't work. It's completely idiotic. And I think it's to conform and abide by stupid rules. If they because everyone will agree that it makes no sense. Not one person will I speak to doesn't agree that it's a silly rule, but they just go, but we're threatened with fines and this and that. Yeah. But they agree it's a silly rule, so that we're being blackmailed by the government. If you don't do what we say, we will take money from you. That's blackmail to conform to a stupid rule. If it's a stupid rule, it shouldn't be abided by, because it's a slippery slope to totalitarianism. If you abide by stupid rules, what's the next stupid rule and the next one that comes along that's slightly stupid and takes away a bit more of our freedom? And it's just absolutely ludicrous.
What worries me, man, is like it doesn't make any sense, like you said, that the masks, people are still wearing the masks, and it thinks like, okay, well, why are the government pushing the fact that we're wearing the masks when we should wear masks when it doesn't make any sense? And
they've even said that, like 19 out of 20 places where they upped the lockdown rules, it didn't make any difference when they upped the rules.
I just think the masks are a placeholder for the vaccine, And the reason, you know, because if it wasn't for everyone wearing the masks around now, you'd walk out in the street and you'd have not forgotten about the pandemic, but you know what I mean? It would be like at the back of your mind. But now because everyone's wearing the masks around, it's like still very in your face that there's this problem going on.
It keeps you at a low level anxiety for sure.
Yeah, and I just think it's a placeholder for the vaccine coming. And I think if people haven't looked into some of the issues that have gone on with more modern vaccines, you need to watch documentaries like Vaxxed, and develop an understanding around that before you just blindly, you know, sign yourself up for these things, because, you know, they can be very, very dangerous.
Amen, man. Amen. We believe in the power of the human being as God made it, as we are created, not in the arrogance and ignorance of humans, unlawful, unhealthy, immoral humans making rules for us that don't understand. God made laws. We come into this world with God's laws that are perfect and aligned, and for them to make laws that counteract that are completely idiotic, that make a mockery of what is already there for us, it's just abysmal and saddening. But alas, that is the time we find ourselves in, humans.
Yeah.
And I think on that note we will end there. Thank you, Josh, for joining us. Thank you, every listener.
Cheers, guys, for
following us through. Where can they find your stuff, Josh?
apenutrition.co.uk is the website. We've got CBD oil, lion's mane mushroom extract powder, cordyceps as well.
Keto fuel bars, which I eat
fuel bars
every week. I must have 3 or 4 bars.
Yeah.
That
Keto
I pay
fuel
for
bars
out of my own pocket at Chi Foods.
Mate, I'll bring you some over next week.
It's all right. No, I like buying them, supporting, man. I buy them out the fridge. Or the freezer.
Yeah, they're good out the freezer. And then MCT oil, and we got some Rediscover human t-shirts as well. And then Instagram is ape_nutrition.
Yeah, nice one. Mine's weartherope.co.uk. Discount code all caps lock Rediscover for some discount on the ropes. The courses, the workout course is out now. Workshops pending. You'll know about that already. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Peace.